Let's talk about my family. Got any questions for me? Anything you'd like to know? Inside dirt?
I don't know.
Information.
There's so many members of the family that.
And to be honest, that's the only reason we had you on.
Yeah.
But I want to learn more about my own dad.
There's so many that like I don't even really know. But we should start with Dad.
What about your dad?
Let's go down the list of your siblings and then other family as it comes up. We've already touched on your son that you disowned.
What do you want to know? How shall I answer this?
Let's start this.
Give us we'll go down the list and give us like a couple word description of each family member, and then we'll have you elaborate on certain terms.
If
we're surprised.
This is a comedy cast, right? So do I have to be funny, or do I get to be honest?
You know what? Focus mostly on being funny.
Okay.
Don't be genuine. By
okay, so every line will be followed by an LOL. How's that?
Yes, but you have to verbalize your LOL, otherwise I don't understand.
That's what I mean.
Okay, start with the oldest.
Start with my brother,
dad.
Gregory Scott.
Gregory
Dad,
Scott.
thank you.
Ayler's horrible father.
Did you just mispronounce our own last name?
Gregory Scott, all ears.
Or you know what I used to get in grade school is Nicholas Antlers.
I got to be honest. I don't have the big all ears, so I never got all ears. I've never even heard that till now. Shit, I've never heard all ears.
I was before. All ears all growing up.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And Dumbo.
I was just a little kid.
So Scott, tell us about
your
Scott
dad.
man.
Your dad in
I know he had a popular song.
Okay, in 3 words.
Jackie, give me a bologna sandwich. I can't drink beer, my face turns red.
Do you know that our dad is the only person I know to be able to carry 3 bologna sandwiches in each hand and inhale them within 10 minutes?
I thought
and no condiments. Like, he didn't bother. It was just the bread and the bologna.
What about the 2 in the cheeks?
What's that?
What about the 2 in the cheeks,
And he also used to eat raw bologna, which I do, and I blame Dad for
Your
raw
dad
hot
used to
dogs.
eat peanut butter and mustard sandwiches.
Yeah,
still does.
I was turned on to
No,
those.
I'm sure he doesn't now.
Oh, it smells awful.
No, I had
God.
more than a few peanut butter sandwiches and mustard
With
in
mustard?
my time.
Oh.
Pretty good.
I'm
Have you ever
sorry,
tried it?
Nat. I didn't have to. I just saw your dad make them and smelled it, and that was
Got a
enough for
tang
me.
to it.
Elvis liked a good peanut butter and mustard sandwich. Isn't that
No,
Peanut
peanut butter and
fried
banana.
I know, guys. That was my joke.
And a good one at that.
Yeah. Okay, your dad in 3 words: mean mama's boy.
Yeah, there you go. How about
Whoa.
indecisive, addicted to marriage?
That's a lot of words. We've already broken our limit. I just want to say pussy. That's my
Addicted
one
to
word.
marriage, not good marriage, not relationship, just marriage.
And that's the thing. Like, my dad is on his 3rd marriage now.
Mm-hmm.
The first one before my mom and my brother and
Right.
I's birth
Right.
Was 8 weeks. Is
Very,
that right?
very short-lived.
brief.
Got beat up by the brother-in-law. I
Yeah.
believe.
Like
Yeah.
the marriage to our mom had to be left in order to end the horrible, horrible marriage.
Yep.
Because he will never leave anyone.
Right. That's an Allers thing.
And I almost worry that that's the case with me too. Like, even the most fucked up relationships I've been in, it's taken the other person breaking up with me to recognize it.
Because we never learned, at least in my part, and I think it came from your dad, was how to deal with a relationship, how to be the man in a relationship. We've always ended up letting the
well, I
woman
saw him
be the
yell at
man.
my mom a lot. Is that
Yeah,
wrong?
yeah, but that
He was
wasn't.
going about it wrong.
Yeah, exactly. He was being a bully. He wasn't being a husband or a father. He was just being the same bully that I grew up.
You need
with.
a license to fish, but they'll let any bonehead be a father.
Very true. Very
I saw
true.
that bumper sticker on the way here. I wasn't sure.
It's Keanu Reeves.
You know,
says it.
Oh, okay.
Think about it. If you want to adopt a child, you got to jump through a million hoops and pay thousands of dollars, but they let any fucknut have a child.
Oh, yeah.
It's ridiculous.
The only reason
you know?
we're born.
Yeah,
Fuck nuts.
Exactly. Anyway, I don't know if I came up with that word, but I like it.
All right, so moving down the list, who's
All right.
next?
Is that all we have on Dad?
Uh,
I kind of want to get Tracy's perspective on one story.
Okay,
we
let's
told her
hear
on the
it.
show once before, but we have a lot of new listeners now.
All right.
And you were here for the day that my dad left that cooler at the house. I want to get your
Oh, yeah,
version
yeah.
of that story. So start from the beginning.
Well, I have a bad memory for one, but he came over on one of his monthly visits with your sister.
This
Right.
is after he's married, after my mom's left him.
Married to
He
Neckfurter.
immediately got married to
Married episode
9. And was just unhappy from the very beginning. Horrible life.
And you were one of few people that he thought he could go to bitch about his relationship.
Anytime he had visitation with his daughter or sister, would just come over here because he wasn't allowed to spend any money on her whatsoever.
She would actually frisk him before he left to make sure he wasn't.
He would
taking
come
money.
over here
Pussy.
basically to kill time by bitching to you about his entire life.
Which was really weird because you figure I had him as a bully brother who I never got along with. Never got along with until we were neighbors. And I was married, living in a house across
What year
the
is this?
Back in the 80s when we were all living on the same block across the street from across the driveway from each other. I was married, your dad was married, you two were little, Tim
we lived
was
in
little.
some kind of duplex,
Right, exactly, next door to our duplex.
Yeah.
And
somewhere
then,
on 72nd.
Right, exactly. Okay. So you guys started coming over to visit. So we started kind of being grown-ups to each other, but we were never close. So when your dad starts showing up here with...
That's where me and Pete are right now, by the way.
Oh, you're way past where him and I ever were. So then your dad... Then,
jealous?
Yeah, I am. Then years later, after all the shit that happened in his life, he starts coming here on weekends. I'm like, okay.
And I felt bad because I was there part of that time. Like when he would come and visit our little sister, I would sometimes be there for that 4 hours.
Which I was so glad you'd come with him.
I was hoping that was the case because I'd come over with him.
I just feel guilty. Like when he'd want to go to your shop. When I worked at that video store,
oh, when I had the coffee shop and you were there, yeah. We were neighbors a lot. You realize that?
Yeah, that's true. Sometimes I forget about when I worked at that video store that we've talked about. Tracy's coffee shop was, we were both right in front of Mega
20
Foods.
yards away, something like that, yeah.
That was a great little period. But my dad would come, and then he'd be like, or even if he was coming to spend the day with Melissa, and he would talk me in, he'd say, why don't you come and join us, and blah, blah, blah. I'd go with him. And he'd want to go to Tracy's coffee shop, and I'm like, well, I go to Tracy's coffee shop alone, and it's cool, and it's awesome. And he tells me how he hates it.
I love that place.
He tells me how he hates it when my dad goes there, and now I got to go there with my dad.
Because your dad once stayed for 3.5 fucking hours.
Yeah.
And bored.
He'd just be burning all his time because he didn't have to spend money. You'd give us a free hot cocoa or whatever. I'm sorry if I gave away some trade there.
No. Hey, it was my coffee shop. I gave away what the hell I wanted.
That's right.
And besides, I was spiking your cocoa. Why do you think you like weed now?
Yeah. I suspected a roofie or two.
So when he came over that day, I don't remember details, but I just remember he said, hey, I was wondering if I could just leave this cooler here, I know you take good care of things, blah, 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 blah.
And it was a vintage Coca-Cola
It was
cooler.
which is sitting over by the Coke machine right now.
Oh, yeah, I see
he's never reclaimed it. And I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll take care of it, no problem. Never told me what was in it, never expounded on the whole topic.
Keep it in your garage.
And I asked if I could keep it in the garage.
Right.
And I didn't look in it, it wasn't my business.
And I happened to be there when we did look into it.
Did you think you were hiding, like, Debbie's head or something?
No, I thought I was...
I wish.
I honestly thought he knows that I collect things, that I take care of things.
Right.
I mean, like, I have my late father's guitar. Even though I'm the only one in the family...
With the Polaroid and the...
Right.
Yeah.
I'm the only one in the family that does not play music, does not have any musical talent whatsoever.
Oh, well, until the next generation.
Right,
yeah, extended family,
right.
we can relate.
I mean in my immediate family, because they can all sing or play guitar or whatever.
Including
I can't.
my dad?
Your dad used to play bass guitar.
Yeah.
That's right. Do you think he could still pull out a chop or two?
Probably, if his wife lets him.
But
so point is, I got the guitar because my family knows I would take good care of it. So I think that's why your dad brought the Coke machine.
Right, and he's
knowing I would take good care of it.
And he's thinking, no matter what's inside it, no matter what his circumstances are now, maybe eventually he can come back to it
and get it because I won't have pawned it or some shit like that. Exactly. And it wasn't mine to look at, so I didn't open it up. I didn't even think about it until you came over.
Yeah.
Nick.
I actually think the story is that he came over and dropped that off at the same time that I was there, and for whatever reason I wasn't leaving with him, and so he had just dropped it off, and then I was like, we should check out what's inside.
I don't remember that.
I know that it was my provoking, obviously. That causes
I know it got opened by you.
Yeah.
You opened it, and that's when you
were
found out
right
what was in there.
And God, was that fucked up? Let's get to it, and then
yeah, it was fucked up, but at the same time, I'm not defending him. I'm just saying the way we were raised. I just recently got out of a bad relationship a couple years ago that I'm still pissed off about because I ended up acting like your fucking dad. I start letting the woman run the show, tell me how to do things, tell me what I could have, what I couldn't have. And granted, she was 25 years younger than me and hotter than shit. But what I didn't know is that I was being totally fucking manipulated.
So basically like Debbie.
Right. Oh, except hot. No.
Except for not disgusting.
Yeah, I wish I still had the pictures. The girl was hot. But I got conned by her completely, and I let her run the show. And that was a big mistake. The difference between me and your dad is I got out of it. I was pissed off about it, lost a lot of money over it, but I got out of it. Your dad would love to get out of it. Yeah. He just doesn't have the fucking guts to do it.
If he would love to get out of it, then he'd be out of it.
He would have to immediately marry somebody else.
That's the problem. And I once told your dad a long time ago, I said, the only way you're ever going to be happy in a relationship is if you live alone for at least a year and not be so fucking afraid of being alone.
Yeah,
but he won't
and that's
do
what
it.
it comes down to.
That's what it comes down to.
The only reason he has not divorced his lady of 9 years that he's been miserable with the whole 9 years is because I don't want a third failed marriage on the roster.
Right.
Well, guess what? And I've said this before, but it is a failed marriage.
All three of them are failed marriages.
Oh, God, yeah. Anyway, let's go back to the cooler. He drops his cooler off at your place, and lo and behold, I open it up, and you're there, and it's all the pictures that involve me and PJ and our little sister. Like, because that's the psycho that his wife is.
Right.
Like,
Meanwhile,
she demands that he gets rid of every reminder of his
pictures of her children plastered throughout the house. They pay
He's
their
paying for their college. He is helping pay for their college.
In her eyes, life before Neckfurter never existed for her husband.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Exactly.
You know? Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. And I know where he's coming from because I saw it, because that started to happen to me. And maybe I'm glad I saw that happen to Dad because it stopped it from happening to me too far.
Yeah,
but
and thank God.
You're welcome. But the sad part is that has a lot to do with the way we were raised. Our mother dominated the show. Our father, if he did have a say in it, we never heard it.
He was the opposite our growing up. Our dad was very domineering.
And I think that was, at first.
Oh, well, now he's a total pussy.
He's not now, right.
But I'm saying the entire time that our parents were together.
I mean, let's put it this way. Your mother was not a domineering woman like his first wife was, like his third wife was.
See, I never met his
he
first wife.
He married a woman he could control.
Right.
And he took advantage of that and went too far with it. He treated her the way he treated us as children. He was the mean bully.
And he was also treating us the same way.
Exactly.
Yes,
right.
Clear.
Which I'm sure you were witness to.
So in a few words, describe our mother.
Your mother?
Giacomo Joe.
Junior.
Smart, surviving woman.
What?
Forgetting.
Those are the two words?
Forgetting.
Okay, I'll never have more respect for her than getting out of that marriage.
Exactly.
And marrying Vincent, who is a good guy. Our stepdad is a good guy. He's black, but he's still awesome.
What he is I mean, I've only met him, I think, if I've ever met him at all, I've only met him once.
Through the coffee shop
I think through the coffee shop.
I'm sure you met him at least once.
And look what's become of her since she hooked up with him. While she was still married to your father, she did the smartest thing she could have done, is hook up with Vincent and get on. Imagine what...
Good on him, yeah. I mean, since...
Good on her for doing it.
I guess, but like she couldn't have expected it to last as long as it has now.
No,
like, their marriage is good enough in a weird sort of way,
right?
Despite the fact that neither of them, and it's not Vincent's responsibility, our stepdad, but neither of them know how to raise our little sister.
Yeah,
but then again, that's what happens. You never know how to raise a special needs kid.
Oh, and Vincent especially, I feel especially bad for him because he was just kind of married into it.
Right, he did like,
and that was his own choice, and he does with her what he can.
Right.
But at the same time, it's a handful.
More than your dad does. More than her biological father does.
Much more.
Which means you got to give him.
That's why I respect and probably love my stepfather more than I ever would my real father ever again. Because I know my dad will never come back from this.
Right.
He's gone forever.
Oh, definitely. He's gone.
And I've had to accept that, and that's sad, but it's true.
Yep.
Like it really is.
That's it. So yeah, that's how I feel about your mom. I mean, I didn't get to know her that much years ago because she was just another person, as far as I was concerned.
And
I was never into
Lori mentioned in the episode she was on your sister that my mom was just, and I guess I didn't realize this
morbidly
we were
shy.
so young, but yeah, she was morbidly shy, and just like super socially retarded.
Chewed her fingernails down to the quick and sat in a corner and just didn't talk to anybody. And
that's kind of me, man. That's kind of me.
Yeah,
I get where it's coming from now.
Yeah.
Like it took Lori telling us that, and now you again to reinforce it.
Yeah.
Like that's where so much of our social retardation comes from, don't you think?
To be honest, sometimes I think Debbie Neckverter is karmic revenge.
How do you mean?
Because he's
Referring
getting the same treatment he dished out.
Yeah.
He's tasting his own medicine, and I'm guessing it's bitter.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah.
Tastes just like that stuff you used to pan in your nails so you wouldn't chew.
Oh, God, yeah. I remember that stuff.
Nasty.
All right, so next on the list is second born, our Uncle Russ, who is super Jehovah's Witness. Shuns his lesbian sister, had 2 kids, one awesome, one not so awesome. Who she's awesome to the point to where I believe that she's miserable in her life because her dad is a Jehovah's Witness.
Yep.
Because she cannot disappoint her dad. She needs to do exactly what he wants her to do. And if he died when she was like 18 or 20, she would be living an incredibly progressive, productive,
happy,
fulfilling life. She married some hick because he's super Jehovah's Witness as well. They live in a hick town. She's not doing anything she could be doing.
Right?
Yeah, in Montana, she could be doing anything. As a bartender, we worked at the Outback together. As a bartender, she was making $200-300 a night.
Oh, yeah, she was
in
a
Yakima at a
hottie
chain
making
restaurant.
money. Yeah,
yeah, you can turn that. I mean, not bartending for the rest of your life. I'm saying, but I mean, you gotta also be smart to make that kind of money. She could have done something.
Yep.
She was going to school for a career at trade school for something I can't remember what, telecommunications.
But that interferes with Jehovah's work.
She quit at 9/11 when 9/11 happened. She quit going to school because
what year?
Because she thought
what?
Because she was convinced Armageddon was coming.
Of course,
so she quit school to pioneer full time.
Of
How
course.
many Jehovah's Witnesses thought
Pioneer
that?
is doing 80 hours a week or 80 hours a month knocking on doors.
As many Jehovah's Witnesses
What a
believe.
fucking miserable life.
Quit her career path and now works at a coffee stand in Hicksville with bald hick guy, Montana guy.
Yep, there you go.
Because Russ is so super.
Exactly, which and also
What
a
if
lot.
you're wrong?
But
Russ?
a lot.
What if you're wrong?
He is wrong.
He is wrong, but why can't he think, what if I'm wrong?
Because
he's the one guy that never will.
Which brings me to the 3 words:
Let's hear it for Russ.
pussy whipped tool. And to back that up, pussy whipped because we know his wife, tool because of the church. You know, he's a tool. And not because his daughters weren't afraid of disappointing him. It was disappointing God through him.
Yeah.
You know, by their actions. You know, I won't be upset with you, but Jehovah will. Yeah. And I remember a quick story. She called me before she got married, almost begging me to come to the wedding.
Yeah, but she wouldn't let Lori go,
which is why I wouldn't go. And I said, you know, if this is about family and you guys aren't wanting to invite my sister to the wedding, then I can't go. She said, well, you know, she started getting upset about it. And this is what I told her. I said, you are the victim of our family politics. You know, this isn't anything against you. This is against my immediate family. This is what has become of it, and this is why I can't go, because they've turned their back on my sister.
Okay, even given the family politics, though, like it's okay. Obviously, homosexuality is a no-go
for them,
Jehovah's
right?
Witnesses. So, what's the difference, though? Like, why were you invited to our cousin Amy's wedding, and Lori wasn't? Because you've been adamantly against the religion as a whole.
Because I am not a baptized Jehovah's Witness who dropped out.
There you go.
And
that's
because
why they'll still talk to me.
Exactly,
and not so much you.
It's all comes
not
down
so much me because I was baptized.
If Lori was gay and had never been a baptized Jehovah's Witness, they would have invited her. I'm sure. Because we know, right. Let's see, how many JWs are pedophiles?
Isn't it rampant? I remember, this is a funny story, Tracy. I remember when I was still kind of pretending to be Jehovah's Witness, but wasn't really anymore, but I was still trying to convince certain people, including you for some odd reason.
Right.
Like, it's obvious you weren't going to hear it. And I don't think, I'd like to think I never came over and tried to preach to you.
No, you never did. Not that I would.
But I would
get
defensive.
I would have wanted
sometimes.
one of the proudest moments in my life is when you finally turned your back on it.
Oh, God, me too.
And I felt like I had kind of helped in
A
that.
long time coming.
Yeah, I would say you definitely had something to do with that. And I honestly thank you for that now. But I remember coming over and still... I remember coming over and still, like, I would want to talk about every conversation with you because we have the same ideas when it comes to, like, what we're into as far as pop culture and stuff goes.
Yeah.
And just general
The one
conversation.
safe topic among Jehovah's Witnesses.
And
as long as it's not rated R. As long as it's not rated R.
That's a whole separate story.
Oh,
we'll
okay.
get to that. But yeah, so I would come over and I would really enjoy the time that I had with you. But then it would get to religion, which nothing against you, and I appreciate it now and respect you for it now. But at the time, like, it would turn towards religion, even if I didn't want it to.
When we're still
because I wanted
religion.
it to.
Yeah, because I was still supposedly a Jehovah's Witness, and yet you're confronting me with these issues that I should be dealing with and thinking about.
But Jehovah's Witnesses are trained not to listen
right.
to.
So that's when I would check out and try to
Right.
move the
Yep.
conversation back to Glenn Gray,
Can
Glenn
you
Ross, or
say
whatever.
brainwashing?
Yeah. And I finally recognized that, and I just wish everybody else would. And so
Oh,
our
God.
family is so sad.
Yep.
That's not the story I was going to tell, though. I don't know, guys.
Which is what
Stay
makes
away
this
from
fun.
it. Yeah, except for when I can't remember.
It'll hit you. IMDb it. You can find everything on the internet, or the proper pronunciation Jehovah, because they didn't use the J sound like the Spanish.
I'm sorry, you thought it was Yahweh with no consonants.
But also Jehovah. What they've proven is that the J wasn't the hard J. It was a Hispanic J.
What have they proven in the New World Translation
That
of the
they're
Bible?
fucking stupid. And they're wrong, and now they're backtracking on the whole 1914 generation because they're dead.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
no shit. Whatever happened with that? Jehovah's Witnesses used to preach that anyone alive in 1914.
Now they're saying anyone born in 1914.
Okay,
But
well,
they're
they're
going to
have to change that soon.
So
But
now
what
they're
is it?
changing it all again.
So
Of course they are.
Okay, but
Yeah.
those people, they're what? They're gonna. That's when Armageddon's gonna happen. When those people
when
are
that
still
when that
alive.
generation before that generation would die. Yeah.
Not gonna.
But you know what Armageddon is?
Not with the
You
pollution.
ever watch
in
the
the
History Channel?
No, but I've seen Armageddon.
Armageddon is actually a place in the Middle East called Har Megiddo. It's a site that was a lot of battles
Is
happened.
that home of Harry Stamp Drilling Company?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
It's a place in the Middle East where they used to have battles all the time because it was a prime area. It was strategic. So the great battle is supposed to happen at the Har Megiddo in the Middle East somewhere, and they bastardized it into Armageddon. It could happen anywhere. So last time I saw Armageddon was in bed with my fucking ex-wife. That was a disaster. Oh, Timmy did the cutest thing today. I'm off. Yeah, I want to be thinking about my child when I'm fucking my wife. Yeah, no
Yeah.
problem. Pedophile.
Not a bigger
yeah.
turn on, especially your son. My God. Never has my penis been more flaccid than when I thought about your son, Tim.
Last time I ever boned my wife was that
How you
night.
last long?
That was it. The divorce was on. Just had to wait her out. So anyway, what were you thinking of earlier that you couldn't remember till midstream?
Horses, something midstream. Quoting Wag the Dog. So, what's the difference between... I may have already asked this, too. Maybe I am not right at all. But
Of course not.
your sister, Lori, was a lesbian.
Is a lesbian.
Is a lesbian.
Is she? I saw her with a guy. I'm not saying. I'm not trying to spread gossip. You ain't heard it from me.
And then, so Lori's a lesbian, obviously a no-no.
Among Jehovah's Witnesses.
Right.
And most Christian faiths, but...
Never mind. I thought I remember the question, but it's a question you already answered about you never being baptized, and that's why you
Right.
weren't.
Right. That's why I'm allowed at the
Never
family
mind.
functions.
I didn't remember my question.
That
then.
break was entirely necessary.
What a waste. So anyway,
Who's the next oldest kid?
that would be me.
Oh.
So, yeah,
What do you
sum
think
it
about
up.
yourself?
what do I think about myself?
Yeah. As a man, how old are you, Tracy? If you don't mind me asking.
47 just turned.
47.
December
You look good, man.
17th.
Yep.
Correct?
A pre-Christmas boy. Yep. A pre-pagan holiday boy. Yeah, that's it. Me, 3 words. Could have done better.
There you go.
How so?
I had plenty of potential in my life that
I still say you do.
That got totally wasted because I was raised to be a future husband, future worker drone, and that's what I became, was a worker drone.
Just in recent years, because I know that like you'd had your kid, you dealt with marriage, you got past that. And you've had
How old were you when you had Tim, by the way?
Oh, God, I don't know, 21, 22,
yeah, 21.
something like that.
Yeah,
It's way too young. Way too young.
Yeah.
Never get married or have children before
And
25.
just,
Worked for
reference,
you, but, hey.
How old were you when your daughter was born?
I got married young. I got married when I was 20. My daughter was born when I was 25.
Smart.
So you were married for a lot of years.
You were smart. You waited.
5 years.
Now I remember telling you to wait.
Yeah.
Can you believe that our uncle, your daughter Sophia, your beautiful daughter Sophia, what are you? Her great uncle?
I don't know. She doesn't know me yet, so great.
That's what I'm getting at. You haven't fucking met her, and she is the most adorable fucking.
No,
baby.
well, she think I'm great, is what I'm saying. No. But no, yeah, I would make.
By me, so
I would be her great uncle. Yeah.
Yeah.
She loves men. She is terrified by women and loves men.
Is that right?
Yeah. She's
Future
always
trouble
nice
for Daddy.
to you, to Barry.
She loves me, and she did love our Uncle Barry too when
Yeah.
she saw him. I did notice that.
Okay.
But Barry's good with kids. A little too good
Yeah,
with kids.
a little too good with kids.
Wink,
Surprising he didn't have any, but
Yeah.
But I think what it is with him is he was, raised by mom, because dad died when he was like, 12, 13 years old.
Yeah.
And raised around all those daycare kids.
Yeah.
So he only
And coddled,
related.
super coddled.
Right, and super coddled. He was okay. The description for him, simple, mama's boy.
Mama's
There you go.
boy.
And he never learned how to relate to people his age, only the younger ones. So I think that's why he's attracted to the younger ones, because that's all he knows.
Married a much younger one.
Married
a much younger
which I
woman.
can't fault him for. I mean, I was with
Of
the girl
course.
25 years my junior, but then again, I was 45 at the time,
And yours was
You know,
attractive.
and mine
Wait,
was
45, and how many years your senior? 25.
She was 20, I was
Oh,
45.
okay.
So,
My fucked up math had
So
the girl
no
at
dates
15.
at Pee Wee's Tavern for you.
Not
till the 1 year anniversary.
Got my own bar. It wasn't
By the
a
way,
problem.
if anyone lives in Tacoma, Washington, Pee Wee's Tavern on 72nd and Pacific still exists. It's
And
so
it is
tiny.
the most trashy, horrible.
That's
Foot Locker of a place.
Every bar in Tacoma.
Taking the bus to get here, going through Tacoma. I haven't been in Tacoma in a long time. This is, of course, where I was born and raised. I really would have loved to go by our house and see what the Asians have done with it, but
It still looks decent.
to see the Fred Meyer and the new McDonald's.
Your
it's good
neighbor,
times.
your neighbor Goofy died.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, she finally
Hey
died.
guys,
What was her name? Eleanor.
Yeah,
question
it went by
whenever you're
Goofy.
done.
Went by Goofy. You're what?
What's up?
I just got a question.
What's up, bro?
Let's hear it.
What's on your list today? You'll find it at
Fred Meyer. I worked there. My first job, had it for 6 years. Got fired for stealing quarters.
Oh, stealing quarters.
Stealing
very
quarters,
crazy.
Prominent like the
which
Prestige.
I regret to this day telling Nick about, because
you
I think
think-
he emulated me and used
First
that
of all, we
con.
can't talk too much about my con. As you'll know,
What con at what store? I don't know what we're talking about.
I don't know either. I'm going to keep it vague, Tracy, but we recorded a whole episode that got into very much detail about my misdeed at a certain job I once had, and we decided not to use it because it could still potentially get me in trouble.
What's the statute of limitations?
I don't know.
It's been
It's been several years,
exactly, and that's what I told somebody that I confronted.
And from the sounds of the setup that they stung
And
him
I'm
with, which was never a published episode, it was a bunch of bullshit they had on him. And Nick, what do they call it? He sang like a stoolie.
Yeah,
He
I didn't know
signed
what
their
to
papers.
do. They sat me down. They put handcuffs in front of me. I just didn't. I
They
freaked
said,
out.
"We've
They
had
did the
FBI
same thing to
on
me.
you
They
for
did
2
the same
weeks.
thing to me. It was all bullshit. If it was an arrestable offense, they would have arrested me.
Exactly.
They did arrest me.
No, but they didn't, though, did they?
I mean, they put me in handcuffs in front of all of my
there you go.
coworkers.
I got walked to the police car and sat in the back, but I never got handcuffed.
Oh, see, I got handcuffed and walked to the police car.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought you said you were in a holding cell.
What I'm saying is, the whole grilling session, which, by the way, I won't say what my misdeed was, but I will say that I knew that I was fucked the second I got upstairs when they called me into a private meeting on the middle of my shift at a grocery store.
Yeah, same here. Same here. Fear just sinks in.
Because you know what's
shit.
up. And I saw
Run.
Yeah,
Run, Richard
run,
Kimball.
run. Yeah. Back to the Future.
Yeah. I recognized I only had one arm. I was like, oh shit, I'm definitely guilty.
I don't care.
The arm with the money's over there.
That's the whole thing. Like, I knew it was happening even before it was happening. I'm sitting there at the, I'm checking people through my grocery line, and I only get a break at a designated time, but they asked me to shut down early. And there have already been people circling in the back room with ties that I don't recognize, but are all of a sudden in the back office.
Hired
actors.
No.
It was so bad. So I knew it was happening because I was guilty of a lot of things. And so I go back there, and it's as
Allegedly guilty.
Yeah, we're never going to publish this.
allegedly guilty. No. I haven't said the store.
You're
I
right.
haven't said what I did. It's all fine. But they get me upstairs, and it's two people I've never met before. And they work for, like, the investigation bureau. I made 2 words up there.
So did they.
Loss prevention.
Yeah. But anyway, they get me up there, and I go there, and I sit at this big round table, and it's only those 2 guys and me. They're both wearing suits. I'm wearing a fucking apron because I'm a chimp. And I sit down there, and they have a folder, like, this isn't a video podcast, but this fat, Tracy. This fat.
Shit.
We're looking at
He's
about
an inch. An inch.
An inch.
Hey, about the size of your cock, right, Tracy? Hey, old man.
When he's excited. When he's not excited, he's a sheep.
So there's this folder there, Tracy's cock wide, and then there's 2 videos sitting on top of that, 2 videotapes, because it's still in the VHS era.
Right.
So, and you just have to wonder what's on those videos. Like, because I've been doing some seedy shit.
Right.
Probably, if it could be on video, it's on those 2 videos.
You're going to let it be porn. Let it be porn.
Yeah, if it's just porn I looked up on the company computer, then that's fine. I can make an excuse for that. I'm fucking horny. But yeah, so it was this huge deal, and then so they play dumb with you for the first hour. Like, they just want to know what you do for a living. Meanwhile, I'm wearing my apron and my name tag.
It sounds like a scared straight meeting. Don't do it, kids. This is
So
bad.
bad. It's so bad. And so I know, and I'm just giving them every piece of information they want. And eventually they tell me, without ever showing me the video, because I don't want to see it. I don't want to see myself perpetrating these acts on camera.
Right.
But do you understand that they didn't have that videotaped?
I think they must have.
Faked
No,
it.
they did not have
They
that.
claimed they had pinhole cameras in my cash register.
I don't think so.
Oh, we're bleeping that, you fucker.
Sorry. Bleep it.
If we're bleeping it, then why call him a fucker?
Yeah. You bitch whore. Wait. I just gave away. I just gave away.
Don't say those words.
I just gave away. Oh, that's right. It's only cunt.
Yeah, we only dropped.
Were those your 2 words?
Yeah, that was Nick. Yeah, damn it. You jumped the gun on that one.
My bad. Anyway, to get to the end of the story, I was arrested on site. Got traipsed through all of my coworkers wearing the handcuffs, and so it's like these people. I worked there
Were there
probably 9
bagpipes?
months, but like all my courtesy clerks that bowed to me because I was so funny on the job,
Yeah.
they just didn't know I was stealing.
There's a funeral dirge going.
So then one guy actually has the gall to give me a wave through the window as I'm cuffed and in the back of the cop car.
Hi, Nick.
But in the cop's defense, the cop was cooler than those 2 guys that work for the company that were grilling me for 3 hours. Okay, we've gotten all the information we need from you. We've gathered how much money you now owe to the company. Like, as you know, what do they call that?
Restitution.
Restitution. That's it. Of course, you know that word, Tracy. We're in
It's
the same boat.
It's 3 syllables.
No, 4, I believe.
4. I had to count.
And so they told me, you're going to owe this much money. And I said, okay, that's fine. Obviously I have lost my job. And so I need to.
Which you got to be
that.
told, though. So am I fired?
Oh, yeah. No, I didn't ask. I obviously knew. I got handled out in handcuffs. But I did get a call from my boss the next day.
Are you coming in?
No, I was scheduled the next day, but I did not answer the phone when my boss called after I had been shown in handcuffs in front of him. And he's like, just so you know, not only are you fired, but you are trespassed from this particular establishment. Like, it was a big deal.
You can't come back.
Yeah.
Darn.
But even before that, like, I didn't know I was being arrested. Back in the meeting, like, they were just asking me a lot of questions, and seriously, like 2 or 3 hours, and I was just giving everything. I was like writing out confessions. Like, it was this huge deal. And then finally they're like, okay,
and I killed JFK.
You better cancel your plans to join the mob.
Yeah.
I am Henry Hill. Yeah, so I say everything they want to hear, and I actually tabulated the list of. They said, "What all have you stolen from our company? We want you to make a list as far as your memory will let you." And so that's how they came up with the sum of money I owed them. Basically.
Right.
Is what I was
$5,
which I way lowballed. By the way.
So did I. Shit.
Yeah, of course this hasn't been going on as long as I've been employed. But, so anyway, at the end they're like, okay, we got everything we need from you. I can't speak for your boss, but you're most likely fired. And I was like, fine, just get me out of here. But in the meantime, they had taken a 5-minute coffee break and called the police in that time. So that's when it became a big deal. The 2 cops came upstairs, put me in cuffs, walking down in front of everybody, sitting in the cab. My courtesy clerks, who bowed to me previous, are waving goodbye to me. But
retards?
Yeah.
Retards at the grocery store?
Retards.
Man.
Same guys that couldn't get a job at McDonald's.
What, underqualified?
So then I get to this holding cell, and the guy lets me keep my cell phone, so that's when I know I'm probably okay.
Right.
Like, he's not, like, making sure I'm not making calls or anything.
Right.
And so I call my girlfriend at the time, hippie-smelling pussy. And she comes and picks me up, nice enough. But in the meantime, the cop was just willing to let me go. He's like, listen, you just pay this off. It won't stay on your record forever. Meanwhile, I have not paid it off, and that's why I can't say what company it was.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Not completely, probably.
Okay.
But
Okay.
statute of limitations.
Well, I'm sure Fred Meyer never find out. So, similar story, only not as bad, if I can interrupt.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sorry, that was my whole story.
No. I was just going to say, I never stole from the store. I was stealing from the customers, a quarter here, a quarter there.
By the way.
So they couldn't get me on anything against the store. You know, they said, well, you know, unless we can get 300, 400, 500 people to sign a complaint against you, there's nothing we can do. You just can't work here anymore. And they had done the same thing. They had called the police, tried to get information out of me. I'm a pretty good liar. The worst part for me was once I got let go, once I went home, and had to tell, because I was living at my mom and dad's house because I just got divorced, didn't have a place to live.
Mm-hmm. And how old are you at this time?
23, 24 years old. The most embarrassing part for me is I find out later, my late father at that time used to have a police scanner.
Oh, wow.
He heard the call to come to Fred Meyer for an employee theft situation.
Right, but
and
it wasn't name by name?
No, it wasn't by name, but when I come home from work, he put 2 and 2 together.
Wow.
I was like, oh God, you know, that was a tough one to live down because, you know, my mother, the upstanding Christian she is, blah 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 blah.
Do you mind telling us what you were doing at the time? Like, it's been a long time. I'm sure it's patched up. It was just a quarter scam, basically, wasn't it?
It was a sleight of hand scam. I had learned how to palm.
I
had learned how to palm palm coins in my hand. And the way the grocery cart.
You were pretty good at that at the coffee shop, too.
I was, but I was. I always gave the money back.
Right.
Yeah.
But
absolutely.
What I had
ripped dollars out of my hand.
Right. Oh yeah, I could shortchange you anything.
Yeah.
But the way the check's name was set up, I had figured out there was a way where I could palm a quarter as I was dropping change in people's hand. They'd never see that the quarter was gone.
But why did you take it out of the till?
Because then I was stealing from the store, not from the customer. And also because there was no way to do the transfer. The transfer was what I would do is I would grab a grocery bag. I could open up a new grocery bag, and while I was doing that, I could drop the coin into the pocket of my apron. And it was all sleight of hand.
I just think that instead of taking it, like palming it when you were about to put it in their hand, like if you left it in the till, and then at like the end of the night, you keep track, and then at the end of the night, you know how much to take out.
No, that would have been too complicated. I would have had to think about it too much.
Okay.
The money was right in the pocket. Plus, I had
I
had my wallet in there.
Scorsese movie.
Yeah, I had my wallet in there, so it cushioned the sound of the coins going in.
Right.
It muffled the sound. So at the end of the day, I'd have 30, 40, 50 bucks worth of quarters in my pocket.
Awesome.
You know, so, and I
It's
told
awesome. I've been there, and it is awesome.
I told him I'd done it for a little while, maybe got $500-600. I made.
I think I'm too terrified of being fired.
I think I made $6,000 in 8 months just in quarters. So,
my God, that's more than I ever took from the company.
But
even lowballing it, I ended up owing not nearly as much as that. But did they ever pin an exact price on what you owed?
No, I didn't owe anything. No restitution because I didn't steal from the grocery store.
Oh, that's right.
It was from the customers.
I stole from customers.
And the reason they found, I was just going to tell you this, because I was stupid enough to talk about it to a couple of people at a party one night when I was drunk off my ass. A couple of the female coworkers were there, and I'm positive they're the ones that turned me in.
Yeah.
And they sent some shills through my till. You know, they basically conned the con. And I had done this thing to these shills, you know, undercover, and I had shortchanged them. And it was almost foolproof. It would have been foolproof if I hadn't talked about it. That was the mistake I made. Because if a customer did say, oh, I think I'm short a quarter, I go, oh, I'm sorry. And I'd pull it out of the till, and then I'd make sure I replaced it.
Yeah, and then probably take a break for a while, too.
Right. You know, and so my mistake, other than stealing from the customers, was talking about it while I was drunk. And I'm not saying it was a good thing to steal from the customers, but by this time I was bitter. I was divorced. I had a kid I didn't want. I hated my job because I had put all out to these people, and they fucked me when they wouldn't let me go to my fucking sister's wedding. And I'm like, fuck you
What
guys.
sister?
I'm going to start getting Lori. I long story short, I had been there. I had put in my time.
She married Janine, right?
Yeah, that's it. When she married the first one she didn't mean to marry. I was not allowed to go to the wedding, even though I'd put in 2 months in advance for the day off. They said, oh, you can't. We'll let you have the hour off of your lunch break for the ceremony.
Oh, jeez.
And that was when my attitude towards the store went down the toilet. So, anyway, that's that.
So, Lori, a couple word description.
Oh.
Lori, episode 20, Perfect Family.
Let's see.
Family. She's number what in the rotation?
She's number 5. Yeah.
Not as far as your personal.
No.
goes.
Lori's number 5 in the.
And number 1 as far as awesome.
She's the 5th child, and I would describe her as my favorite and the brave one.
Yes, absolutely. And I think that came clear across even in the show she was on. Like, she overcame a lot of obstacles to be the person that she is, who I love. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it was just, if you had anything bad to say about Lori in this little scenario, I would have fucking punched you in the face.
Yeah, no. I mean, we were never, none of us were ever close as siblings.
Yeah, which is interesting, because PJ and I, as much as we hated each other, like, we were still close.
But we never disliked each other.
And what's the age difference between you and Lori?
Not far. I'm 47.
She's older or younger?
Younger.
Okay.
I'm 47. She's probably, 44?
Okay.
43, something like that. So not
She
far.
was on the front page of the Yakima Herald.
Yeah.
And in typical Yakima style, they misspelled her name.
Oh, I know.
First or last?
On the front page, last. England, they spelled it like Robert England.
And then on top of that, later on, they referred to her as Miss English.
Really? I didn't
Really,
see that.
they did.
I only looked.
England is not that hard to figure out.
No.
I saw that they spelled it right because at first I was thinking, this is a fucking newspaper. Did I not know how to spell my aunt's last name? But then later they spelled it right. I never saw English.
That was the online version I saw. Maybe it's different online. But I did write back to her and I said, I'm really glad that I'm proud of you. And, being that you're such a good educator, maybe you can teach the local newspaper how to spell check.
Shit. My wife has a friend who's a teacher, like a 3rd grade teacher, when you're teaching spelling, and when she leaves my wife's MySpace comments, it's the most butchered as fuck thing you could ever imagine.
And it ain't leet speak, it's just bad spelling.
She cannot spell for shit.
And she's an educator.
Exactly.
Gotta love it.
I'll tell you someone who we've talked about, but let's get a few-word description on Tim.
Tim?
We've already talked about him,
Tracy's
your son.
Pride and Joy.
But have we come up with my... his mother's son.
His mother's son. perfect. But he looks exactly like us.
That's the problem. Is Tim
Biggest
looks so
ears
much like
in
an
the
Allers,
family.
but he
But
does
he's a
not
Hammond.
represent us well.
No, he's a Hammond. He's got his mother's genetics. No, I mean, not that being on Allers is a great thing.
By the way, he's my personal MySpace friend now, not MySpace friend of the show.
Because we don't want him to know this exists because we've trashed him too much already.
He knows how to work a computer. Wow.
He doesn't log
Surprisingly.
in often.
I can
And
imagine.
what are his general interests? I think it had something to do with the Ultimate Fighting Championship.
Oh yeah. To this day, I'm sure he still believes that wrestling is real too.
Oh yeah.
Guaranteed.
Well, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Right
Mickey
up there.
Rourke
Right
taught
up
us
there
that.
with Jehovah.
And then he likes some heavy metal
Yeah.
and some weed
I'm
smoking.
sure it's Christian metal now, but you know.
Yeah, who knows? God, I really knew him in that thing.
I don't know what that guy's
The
going
only thing I can give him credit for is he made me appreciate corn. The
band?
the band, not the
I was gonna
not the
say,
vegetable.
If you didn't discover corn before your
No,
son,
no, I mean,
Seor, and
no, yeah. No. So,
Did PJ ever tell you about the script that he was writing? How old were you?
Oh, it was when, let's see, post-divorce, living with mom, hanging out at Tim's house every day.
For the morbid fascination, going back to that. But
17, 18 years old.
and the name of PJ's script was the Tim situation. He didn't even hide the name. It was just about our cousin Tim. And wasn't it basically
Spelled
just
with a
about
Y.
what a weird guy he was and how you're obsessed, but only in a like, you know.
Yeah, in the weird way that I actually am. It was that I would sit there and me and his half-brother Mikey would sit there and just make fun of
I
Tim.
wish he was my real cousin.
Yeah.
Even
Mikey
over
was a
Tim.
cool kid.
Mikey's cool.
Yeah.
We would sit there and we would just antagonize Tim and get him to say ridiculous things. And I would sit there and just write it all down. And then I would go home and I would put it like in script form and I wanted
Put
to
it into
film
a document called The Tim Situation. This was going to be an
Oh, I love
entire
it.
feature-length
There was
Love
a
it.
scene
Kind
in
of like
it.
Stevie.
But who can play Tim other than Tim? Yeah, if it's a documentary, sure.
That's the thing.
Sure.
It was very like I don't know if you want to say adaptation or meta because I don't even know what meta means. But there was
I do.
a
Let me
scene
explain it.
in it that took place after I had told Tim that I was writing this, which was truth. I did tell him that, and he kept saying, "I can't believe you would have the audacity to do that." And he just kept saying audacity over and over. And Mikey made a joke about word of the day toilet paper, and I was just writing it all down, and then I put it in the script later.
Kids in the Hall, ascertain.
No, I don't know that reference.
I saw in your queue. You've been getting the Kids in the Hall seasons, haven't you?
Yeah,
There's
just
one.
recently.
There's one scene they do where the guy picks up on the word ascertain, and he gets fired for saying the word ascertain. Well, I ascertain that the ascertaination of my being fired.
You know what I like about that show? It was like a bunch of faggots dressing up like women.
And looking semi good at it too. That was the sad part. Dave Foley.
If my friends
who
from
knew Dave
Texas were here, they'd gun them all down.
Who knew Dave Foley could be hot? You know, so it's sad.
Well, he did play the androgynous Chris in It's About the Movie.
Oh, what a waste that movie was.
I'm done with this conversation. I'm crushing both of your heads.
I'm crushing it. I'm crushing. Love that show.
Yeah, me too. God damn, are Canadians funnier than us? For the most part.
The only other two people I have on the list is Rhonda and Bonnie.
And we've touched on Rhonda quite a bit.
I never did. I swear.
Literally.
Barry may have, but it wasn't me.
No, he was younger. It didn't work.
That joke made me uncomfortable.
Hey, it is a comedy cast. I got to throw in the jokes once in a
Is
while.
that what it's called?
By
A
the way,
comedy
I'm
cast?
top 20 consistently on Podcast Valley.
Number
Yeah.
14 this
If you want to
week.
shoot us a vote.
And thank you for voting for us, Tracy.
Hey,
I know
first-
your vote's
first of the
used up
month.
for the month.
First of the month. Plus, you figure I'm up at 2 in the morning, so I'm
Yeah,
in there.
exactly.
I'm probably the first
That-
one voting.
we're
for
probably
you.
like number one for at least a couple
least a
minutes.
minute,
when
for
Tracy
sure.
was,
You vote for us even before we have a chance to vote for ourselves.
Can I vote twice?
Turns out you can't. I've
Where
tried.
else in Yakima has Wi-Fi? Fuck.
Rhonda, I would say the smart one.
The smart one.
The smart one, because she decided who she was right away.
But
Yeah,
did
but
she?
she's still mixed up in the religion aspect.
Occasionally.
Occasionally. But I think for all the smart reasons, though. You know?
Are there smart reasons
social
for that?
aspects?
I think so, and because of her kids, but she hasn't forced the
got
religion
good kids.
on her kids.
Oh, her kids are
And
great.
she's
I
taught.
I don't know the younger ones.
Well,
so
they not only have they inherited her genetics, which is not ours.
But they inherited my personality.
Exactly.
At least the Aller sense of humor comes across in
They-
Ashley, especially.
And Cecily, from what I've heard. and
Cecily,
seen.
too.
Yeah.
You know, when we hung out with them bizarrely one night in Seattle.
Not that long ago.
A couple months ago. You know, Cecily's like a high school kid. I hadn't seen her since she was a little girl.
And her MySpace is really obnoxious,
like,
so you can't tell
the
what to
kind
think
of
of her.
girl, when I'm walking to work, I feel uncomfortable passing her when she's going to school.
Right.
But she sat there and played like this lame-ass board game with us. and
Apples to apples.
Like,
Yeah.
had the time of her life.
Because that
It
was
so
Ashley.
fun.
Ashley was like that from birth. I mean, she was the
Ashley
one.
and Cecily, though.
I'm
Like, it really
I'm
surprised
thinking
us.
maybe Sophia might be the same way.
Oh, yeah, she's going to be awesome.
Ashley, when
I
you
hope so.
when
If
when,
your daughter's lame, that would be awful for everybody.
Oh, I was pushing for it.
when Ashley was a baby,
Girlfriend?
I mean, no joke. When Ashley came along, our father had just died. Then Ashley was born, so she was like the surrogate
So
person.
he died when
Oh,
Rhonda
man.
was pregnant with Ashley.
Right, right.
Nick, how much resentment was there for Ashley when we were younger?
What do you, oh,
She was
yeah.
so loved.
She was so loved, but
You hated that more than I
But
did.
she brought it on herself, though. I mean, I'm not shitting you. We used to peek in on her when she was waking up in her crib, and she would just stand there looking around, smiling, even though nobody was in the room.
It's like
And
Sophie
then,
now.
then he'd open up the door and she'd beam. And I'm just from the pictures I've seen of your daughter, PJ. I'm guessing she's the same way.
Oh, yeah, she sits there and talks to herself. And
Yeah, totally
She's just
entertains
a
herself.
totally pleasant child.
And that's the way Ashley's been. And if she still is, you got a good thing going for you with Sophie then.
Ashley has said that she might come on the show. She's still debating, but she has listened to the show, and
Cool.
she has got a fantastic sense of humor. One story I want to tell actually ties into your son, Tim. The first time I realized that Ashley, because she's, what is she, 21 now?
Must be.
yeah.
Did she get married?
No, not
Oh,
yet.
good. Okay.
Maybe. I don't know what the
Right.
story is there. She hasn't been clear. But I guess I got a 7-year age difference. I'm 7 years older than Ashley, so she always seemed younger to me even when she was born. you know?
Right.
But I remember the first time I realized that Ashley had a really great sense of humor was when we were at some kind of bullshit family reunion, as it turns out. And your son Tim was there. I can't say whether or not you were there. Do you remember if Tracy was
Yeah,
there?
I think so.
Okay.
What house? Well, maybe Grandma gave him a ride.
Yeah, probably actually. But your son Tim was there, and Ashley was there, who's also younger than Tim.
Right.
Tim is PJ's age, and Ashley, who we barely have given the time of day prior to that. But Tim is being his Tim self, and we don't know how to process
Good
the
word,
information.
Tim self.
And Ashley's the first one to form it into funny words. Because what was it? We were like outside, just wandering around, like on some kind of path, and there was
Yeah.
a woman out there with a little dog on a leash, walking her dog. And what did Tim say?
He said, "Nice dog."
Yeah, that's all he said. Nice
Right.
dog.
But it's just ridiculous out of Tim.
And Ashley called him on it. Like, she's our little cousin. She's walking around with us. And she's doing her impression of your son, Tim, which is basically just consists of, hey, nice dog. Like, just trying to interfere with conversation to a complete stranger who could give a shit.
And then there was some little kid that was running around. Remember that?
No.
There's a little kid running around at the same thing. And he was like, hey, little rascal or whatever. Tim's just always trying to be like Mr.
He
Awesome.
adapts to
Right.
whatever he just
And-
hears.
Right, and not only that, but there's a difference between making the observation, "Oh, nice dog," and "Pay attention to me. I'm complimenting this dog."
Yeah.
You know, and
Which
that's
is exactly
yeah.
what it is.
Right.
You worded it perfectly.
when he messed with that kid, Ashley said, "Wow, Tim, you're really good with kids."
Oh, yeah. That was the
Oh,
line.
man.
That's what sold me on Ashley. Wow, Tim, you're really good with kids. I was like,
See,
you're too
she's-
young to be that funny.
And that's why I say Rhonda's the smart one. She produced smart kids.
Yeah.
You know,
She-
and
she really did.
And I
Like,
call
it's-
her the smart one because she got out of our mother's grips even while she was still living in the house. You know,
Right.
it's not. I'm not going to be worried about what mom thinks or what mom says. I'm going to be who I am. And that's what Rhonda did. Yeah, she's waffled back and forth, but she's also stayed pretty goddamn independent of the family as well.
It's true.
And lived her own life, and I give her all the credit in the world for
Is
that
she still
one.
close with our lesbian Aunt Lori or no? I know that used to be.
Not so sure.
I don't think as much anymore from
But
what
why
I've heard.
is that? Not because of like she objects to her lifestyle or anything, is it?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. I haven't talked to
I don't
Rhonda in
know
a couple
either.
of years.
You know what I
and-
respect about Rhonda is she strikes me the kind of lady that like kind of like how I am if my dad's sending me too many emails or my mom's texting me too much.
Which happens all too often.
I just kind of tune out and just pretend it's not happening because I just don't want to deal with it. And then I can get that vibe from her.
And which brings me, my sister Terry, number 4 in the list, a lower IQ Nancy Grace.
Oh my God!
Wow,
that is dead on.
You just hit a nerve with PJ.
That is.
I know how you feel about Nancy Grace.
So opinionated.
Yep.
With nothing.
With no. First time I saw Nancy Grace on
to
TV.
Win every argument that isn't even a fucking argument.
Yep.
Is that our Aunt Terry?
Yeah.
I'm not sure I even know our Aunt.
First time I saw Nancy Grace, I thought of my sister Terry when I saw her, and I went, I don't like this woman.
And Nancy Grace has alopecia, right?
I thought that was a wig.
That joke makes sense. Nobody except for people who know that our Aunt Terry wears a wig.
A little backstory. My sister Terry, the vainest one of the bunch, always primping more than my sister Rhonda did.
Is that right?
And guess whose hair fell out?
Yeah. Is that because of stress? I know it wasn't actually alopecia, was it?
No, it was alopecia.
No,
it's alopecia.
Oh,
It's a
okay.
medical condition. Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
The men's hair do not fall out.
Funny story about our aunt's alopecia. It's nothing if not funny.
Wasn't that a Disney cartoon?
I smell it.
Cusack?
I smell a title.
What's funny is the title's going to be "I Smell a
How
Title."
dare you? That's my decision.
But I don't think I've told this story, and in fact, it came up beforehand. But my big gimmick, one of the things that PJ probably likes about me now, but hated back then, was that I had an A-Team lunchbox from the 2nd grade.
I love that.
Yeah, so what it was I had, for those that don't know, A-Team, Mr. T, and other people.
What was his name on the show?
Face.
Like Badass Biggins or something?
Yeah, Badass Biggins, I believe it was.
Bad attitude.
Tracy, you're old. Confirm.
I never watched the show. You won't see the movie if they ever make it.
I know there was a character named Face. I was real into Face as a
Face.
character. Anyway, I don't know that much about the A-Team. I never did. But I did have a lunchbox in the 2nd grade. And then several years later, we were...
Little backstory about why I hated you so much for this project.
Okay.
I found that lunchbox, and it was mine. And then
Even though I owned it as a 2nd grader.
Right. This was years later. This was over a decade later. I dig it out of the basement when I'm looking for Dad's moldy
First of all,
porn
that's
stash.
not true. I found it when we were cleaning out the basement.
Absolutely not. I found
Let's
it in the
explain
basement.
the story before we yell at each other.
Okay,
So,
go ahead.
I'm going to tell my
should've been
version.
idea.
I'm going to tell my version, which is the 100% true version of the
I'm
story.
not going to tell my version.
You shouldn't, because it's false.
Ding, 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 ding. Round 2.
So I'm cleaning out the basement. I find this lunchbox. A-Team, 2nd grade. And anyway, your friend who lives in Alaska, at least last we know, David Goodbread, he's around, and we had just found this lunchbox, and I'm like, hey, it'd be funny if he poses with this lunchbox.
And to be fair, this is right around the age that we started becoming cool.
Yes.
Started watching good movies.
So do you think this is where it started?
Maybe.
Do you are you for this project or against it?
When I found that lunchbox, I like it now. I don't think I would have ever taken it to that level, but it was mine first.
Okay.
It was yours first, but I found it.
PJ.
This is building up well because it is a good idea. So
We'll see.
Just pay attention.
And a lot of people that are listening have been involved in this project, so they already know.
True.
But I gave it up a few years ago. But basically what the gimmick was I started having people pose for pictures with my A-Team lunchbox. And then when I would go on a trip or something where I knew I was meeting somebody new, or just since I started this project, I would have them pose with the picture or pose with the lunchbox, take their picture, develop that picture because this is back in those days, and then put those pictures within the lunchbox itself. And so it was just a good way, like it was kind of a yearbook of sorts. Like it would just help me keep tabs on people that I met through the years.
And
it did go on for a few years, and so. I don't remember why I started talking about that.
Very creative and very interesting.
Because it has to do with my aunt.
Alopecia.
Your aunt,
Let's go back to
alopecia. There we
alopecia. So my Aunt Terry caught wind of this project, and she was obviously wearing a wig. Like, we all knew of her condition, but it wasn't spoken about, really. And so she posed for the picture wig and all. And that was fine. And then what she had done, because this was a disposable camera that I had at the time, she was staying for the weekend. They'd already lived in Utah, but she was staying at my grandma's, and I happened to be there. And so without my knowing, she took the camera, and her son, Adam, who was only 2 or 3 years old at the time, she posed him in the bathroom, like standing on top of the bathroom stall because he's so small. And she had actually taken the time to take off her wig, put it on her son, and then have him pose with the lunchbox. And this was a complete surprise to me because I didn't know that it was in the roll that was eventually going to be developed. And so then, sure enough, like weeks and weeks later, I developed this roll of film. I got my Aunt Terry there, knowing she's wearing a wig. But then 2 pictures later, there's her son wearing that same wig. And the fact that she had such a sense of humor about that and was willing to do that.
And didn't say anything to you about it.
And didn't say anything. Like, saved it as a joke.
Shocking.
Yeah, that's pretty great.
And it was really great, and I really respected her more for that.
Wow,
like,
that story did not go where I thought it would go.
Yeah,
that's pretty damn good.
Yeah, no. You
That's
didn't expect me
surprising.
to defend her there at the end, huh?
No, I mean, just for her to keep her mouth shut about it for that long and actually surprise you
I was
with
actually
it.
really impressed by
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
What were the best A-Team pictures in there?
Some people chose
Mine
to
was
get...
okay.
No, yours was when I first started doing it.
Yeah.
Which it went on for a long time after that. So mine and PJ's both were like... I'm the one that invented this series, despite what PJ says. And so, like, I was the first...
Obviously, it was your idea. It was just my lunchbox.
Flashback to 2nd grade. This was not your lunchbox
I
ever.
found it.
You
fucker.
found it, but you knew it was mine. You remember it being
said
mine.
you found it. Now you said I found it.
Edit. Cut. What were we talking about?
The lunchbox. The fucking lunchbox.
What was the best picture in the lunchbox?
Our pictures were the earliest.
Yeah, so they really had no personality. We were both sitting on the recliner and posing with it.
I was looking up into
But
the
the further it went along, like I got a
People
few
started
hundred
getting
pictures.
creative, yeah.
So people were like, I got to make mine different than other
Yeah.
ones, and so people like the only requirement is that you're in the picture and the lunchbox is in the picture. You can do whatever else you want with it. So I'd say that the two that stand out in my mind, our friend Rob Studdard, no longer a friend because he's probably still a Jehovah's Witness.
Yeah, Barry just saw him give a 1-hour Sunday talk.
Loser.
Anyway, he had some kind of big rig that he was driving, like some kind of 4x4 ridiculous. I don't know car terms, but
Right. He was a car guy.
so he took the time, like he's like, I got a great idea for the picture. So he spends like at least an hour getting it together. And he doesn't tell me what's going on the whole time, but we're at his place just hanging out, and I have the lunchbox. I'm ready to go. Got my camera. And so what he did was he took like these cinder blocks and wedged them under one wheel of his big, huge vehicle, and then sat in it. And then, but he had the cinder blocks positioned in such a way that it looked like it was just the lunchbox holding the whole vehicle up. And so I had to take it at a certain angle, but it was totally worth it. That guy also did a photo. He had 2, which I did not often allow.
Yeah, I would have liked a second shot.
Yeah, well, you can now. We're going to bring this back. And in fact, if anybody is interested in this, we could bring it back. I will FedEx the lunchbox to and fro to our podcast listeners. You got to send it back. Don't take it. That's probably worth a lot on eBay right now. And I still have it, of course. But the other one Rob Studdard did was we were at a bowling alley, and I happened to have it. And he was like halfway down the lane, like mid-stroke, but with the lunchbox as opposed to a bowling
sweet.
ball. So that was a good one, yeah.
My favorite one was at Grandpa Bob's gravesite when you put it next to his
That was
that
a
was
good
a
one.
good one because that was a lot of controversy. Mom didn't want it. Dad was okay.
That was
with
my
it.
sense of humor at 16, 17 years old, by the way, Tracy.
Oh,
This is how long this
irony.
is gonna-
I love irony.
But yeah, he had died. But my defense to my mom, because we were going to visit the gravesite, and I happened to have this 18 lunchbox, and I was like, you know what? If he were still alive, he would definitely pose with it. So
Heck
why
yeah.
not? And she couldn't be there when we did it, as I remember. Dad came out with us, and I laid it down. I took a couple of good photos, and that does make for a good one.
Could have
Even
been
people that could give a shit about the project when I used to push it on people all the time, like, this is what I'm doing. they'd get to that picture and they'd be like, "Whoa, all right, you're taking this seriously."
You should make that like a coffee table book.
Yeah, I thought about that
heck
before.
Yeah. Well, it could have been
an exhibit in the hobby hall at the Peel Out Fair.
Nice.
That'd be funny.
Yeah.
It could have been worse. You could have done it on his deathbed, when he died in your house. So.
If that project had been going on at the exact time that he died, I may
have done it.
That's how morbid my sense of humor is now. I don't know about back then.
Better than Obama's solid gold cock.
Do I want to hear it?
It's not that bad.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just irritating, if nothing else.
Oh, okay.
But this is what irritates me about our uncle, your brother Barry, is that, like we said, we did have that one episode that went missing.
Yeah.
And not because it wasn't decent enough, although not nearly as well as this is going.
But because it literally went missing.
Yeah. Absolutely.
The files were deleted. We didn't delete them. We would have aired it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. What do we got to air, aside from this bullshit? But, yeah, so this episode with Barry, and very supposedly avid Jehovah's Witness, even though, as we mentioned, on or off mic, he did show up at our Aunt Lori's house, who is a lesbian and also celebrating Thanksgiving, a very worldly holiday.
He was having a vicious fight with his stepdad.
And it was free food.
But he didn't really eat. He just got up immediately after we started eating to play the piano.
Based on Barry's physique alone, I don't believe that he didn't eat.
We all sat down for dinner. Janine and Lori made dinner. We all sat down for dinner, and he picked at it for a minute, then got up and played the Wii.
And then cried in the corner for several hours.
He's lonely.
Yeah, but this is what I don't get about our Uncle Barry, okay? Like, he'd already at this point recorded the podcast with us, and it didn't get too bleak, but we warned him even before we recorded with him. It could get, don't be too offended. Oh, didn't we give him that whole rundown? Like, if we swear, don't be too offended, blah, blah, blah. Like, we had to tell him all that, which is fucking ridiculous.
Fucking wiener.
Yeah.
Tracy just made the jerk-off motion. So, yeah, it was this... he disapproves of things, and yet he still continues to hang out with us, which I guess is the frustrating part of it. Like, he claims to be this Jehovah's Witness that still has all these morals and standards, and yet he still hangs out with us, asked to spend the night at PJ's house as we're recording there. Meanwhile, we're smoking tons of pot and cigarettes, which in itself, he should be, hitching a ride.
And loses his temper at the drop of anything.
Oh, yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Like, and then
Real
if...
question.
He'll immediately trample anything we have to say or suggest with something that's much more innocent and lame. It's hard to explain. I don't know, but the one particular scenario I'm thinking of is he shows up at his lesbian sister's house for Thanksgiving. We're there. She has a hot tub there, which is awesome. And so he, of course, was too embarrassed to take off his shirt, 350 pounds that he is.
Plus, it was already a tight squeeze.
Yeah, and we don't need
I
that
am
guy
at
in
200
there,
pounds.
Constantly refer to his surgery scars.
which is gross.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we're all sitting there, and I don't know why this one thing pisses me off so much, but I can't stop talking about it. It's me and PJ in the hot tub, not alone. That's a little weird. And then our cousin Lacey, which makes it even more weird, if nothing else. Our cousin Caleb, who all was in the hot tub?
Me, you, Caleb, and Lacey.
Okay. And then Barry, who's not at any point sitting with us in the hot tub, is standing outside of it and still joining in on conversation.
Joining in or interrupting conversations we were having to talk about how awesome Frank Caliendo is.
Sarcastically, I should imagine. I don't remember.
No, he loved him.
Oh, that's right. He loved him. I
Yeah.
thought you were saying we were saying
Why
he
doesn't that
loved him.
surprise me?
Yeah.
God. Yeah, so a big Mad TV supporter. We should have known then.
Apparently.
But, so anyway, I'm sitting there, and we're all, even Lacey May, hate to call you by name, but she is not somebody that I would expect to be a cigarette smoker. But me and PJ are. Caleb is at this point. And so we're all sitting there, and she's lighting up, too, in the hot tub. And you have not enjoyed a cigarette until you've enjoyed a cigarette in a hot tub.
Oh, hell.
Oh, yeah.
One of
Goes
many
right
things
your
to
head.
enjoy in a hot tub, but
Yeah.
not with your cousins.
Or with. So Barry's standing there, like, occasionally, sporadically joining in with the conversation now and again with whatever PG-13 joke has been approved by the elders before he does it. So at one point, like, my hands are wet, like, pulling him out of the hot tub, and my cigarettes are sitting there on the stoop where Barry is standing, and I ask him if he'll hand me a cigarette. No go.
Of course not.
No, he'll sit there and watch us chain smoke and pot smoke and whatever else. But the second that I asked him to actually, with his dry hand, pull his cigarette, or pull my cigarette from the box and hand it to me, he was not down. And he wouldn't even give an explanation. I was like, really? And then what?
No, he did. He was like, I don't support that. I don't like that.
Meanwhile, our cousin Lacey, who is, 17, 18 years old, he did hand a beer, who is very much underage to be drinking.
Ah, God.
His standards are so all over the place, and it just drives me fucking nuts.
Drinking,
there was no payoff to that story, and I apologize, but
it brings me back to the way it is in the Allers thing. His mother, our mother, did the same thing to me years ago. She used to type. This is pre-computers, and I needed her to type a letter for me. I was firing off a response to a company that was dicking me over, right? Mm-hmm. And I had put the word shit in the letter. She refused to type it. Because the word shit was in there.
Even though she probably agreed with whatever you're saying, right?
Yeah, but the word shit was in there, so she wasn't going to foul her typewriter with the word shit being put out on it.
So ridiculous.
Although she had typed up a manuscript for somebody who was writing a memoir of himself and had all kinds of foul words in it. She had no problem doing that, yeah.
She was a typist?
That got paid for.
Oh, yeah.
Jehovah's Witnesses claim not to be, involved in greed and stuff, but...
Some of them have pretty political jobs, first of all.
To this day, I have a hard time with money, having an attitude about it, because my mother would always go, money! Ew. Money! Hated it.
She was the caterpillar in those 1955 commercials in Money Tree.
That's a joke I was trying to make in my head. I couldn't think of what that reminded me of.
Yeah, my family, bunch of winners. Immediate family.
No kidding.
The second,
our immediate family too, huh? What a bunch of winners.
But we've had a better luck with the second generation for the most part.
Is that true?
I think so. You guys turned out good.
Me and PJ, obviously.
Yeah, but I mean, look at Ashley. Ashley's a straight A student.
Oh, I imagine.
Cecily's smart. Lacey's looking to go to college wherever she wants to go.
Yeah, we hear either rocket scientist or brain surgeon.
Yeah, or both. Maybe she'll do Maybe she'll do brain surgery on the moon. Jeez,
Wouldn't that be something? And Caleb is one of the funniest potheads I know.
He's living life.
No, but
Caleb's got a life that I totally respect.
And we won't talk about Utah.
Why not? We've already talked too much about it.
Yeah.
Maybe.
But yeah.
Your ex-wife Bonnie.
Bonnie? Who's that? Oh, my ex-wife? Okay, three
What's
words.
The scoop?
My biggest mistake.
Your biggest mistake.
Yep.
Part Cherokee, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, not part.
Are you trying to pretend that your mouth is not full of Doritos every time that you talk?
I don't know.
Unprofessional,
I
sir.
Smell like Nick Keogh at the Kingdom Hall.
I don't know if she's part Cherokee or part.
I only know that because Tim would throw it in my face all the time.
Alaskan Indian or some shit like that. Some weird tribe.
Bullshit.
Up
I don't
Alaska.
buy it.
She's part. I was attracted to her at the back in the day.
Which is how old were you
because
when
she
you
had,
met?
18, 19 years old.
Okay.
You got to figure.
So much
I was
sense,
raised very sheltered. I never got to date.
Neither did
so
I, man.
I hooked up with the first girl that showed any interest in me out of pure
That's
fucking
still my problem.
desperation.
Me too. God, I'm so fucking handcuffed. It is true, though.
But at least yours was
I didn't marry the first girl that ever showed interest.
At least yours is human.
That's true, but at least your wife is
magical.
Pretty cool.
No, at least your wife wasn't pulling a fucking con job on you.
That's right.
And that's what mine did. Mine just wanted baby without getting kicked out of the church.
Which you already explained, the slipping of the pill.
Right, exactly. So, no, she was my biggest mistake. And I stopped talking to her the minute the kid turned 18.
I remember.
Only because that's at the point where you could, right?
Yeah.
What communication were you having prior to that?
The last year that I had to pay child support, I pre-printed 12 envelopes to send the child support payments out at, and numbered them 12, 11, 10, 9. I couldn't wait till I sent that last one out. And then that was it. Didn't talk to her anymore.
Never mind.
So basically, when When Tim's 18th birthday came along, you were no longer responsible financially.
Right.
So is that at the point where you technically disowned him, or do you even call it a disowning? I guess you answered the phone call when he called.
Right. It's a
half sister. Sorry.
I don't consider it my responsibility. You know, just because I've said this before, I don't believe blood is thicker than water. You know what I mean? Or what? You know,
I'm not sure I do.
A lot of people say blood is thicker than water. The family's family. You got to stick by them no matter what. Mm-hmm. I don't believe in that. I judge people on who they are, on who they are as a person. I don't have to like you just because I'm related to you. I don't have to like you just because you're my biological child. If you're a dick, you're a dick,
But a dick is a harsh word, almost.
Okay,
Tim.
maybe. Okay,
he's not a dick.
Right,
I would say.
He's not
malicious.
He had
in
the
any way.
potential to be one. Okay, if you're somebody that I just cannot relate to at all,
True.
you know, I'm not going to bend over. I'm not going to bend over backwards to do it.
Who is Tim's immediate friend base?
Char.
Char.
The imaginary one. I don't know.
Maybe
I don't
You
know.
know, that was me for a lot of years, though. I was hanging out with Tim all the time. And he did have a friend base, and it was all based on this church he would go to.
Is that right? But not
some other one, not the
Jehovah's
JW
Witnesses.
one, a different one, right?
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
The truth is
He was
obviously
exploring
still
all
on the
kinds of
slide.
religions.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He would wear the cross necklaces and stuff like that.
Which we, by the way, were not allowed to do. Like that's one of the brainwashing techniques of Jehovah's
Yeah.
Witnesses.
gee,
that you do not even begin, even out of curiosity, to investigate other religions.
Jesus was died on a stake, not a cross. What are you talking about?
Are you guys
There was
fucking
no
retarded?
cross. He was.
My last talk that I gave at the Kingdom Hall was called "Are you fucking retarded?" That's when I became.
And you slammed the
DF.
Bible on the ground and you walked out.
Defed.
Boo-wah!
Trish, I'm going to beg you for one more cigarette, and I swear it's the last one, and I'm going to buy you 11 packs tomorrow.
You heard it, folks.
Can I have one more too? I'm sorry.
Hey, I'm getting a headache. So
How
I
many
don't
packs
care.
are you going to buy him, Nick?
And I don't want this buy two get one free bullshit. I want a full price on every one.
You know, I was talking to a guy at work, a customer of mine, about, I don't know, somehow we got on the topic about me being raised as a Jehovah's Witness. And it's really a guilt-based religion, right?
Oh, hell yeah.
Like,
Absolutely.
you have to just, like, feel horrible about yourself every time you fucking masturbate. And
Which was often.
And ridicule anybody that doesn't believe.
exactly.
Can you believe them? Oh, look how stupid they look. Whatever.
And like I say, that's what amazes me about Uncle Russ, that he can, like, force his kids to live an unhappy life, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
And
Even so,
shun
they're
his-
our age. They
shun
could have
his
come out of
family.
this shell by now.
Oh,
They could have, but, you know, they love their dad.
and whipped by their mother.
And I would love him if not for the religious attachment.
But-
Like, he is a funny,
Yeah.
jovial, good guy. I could see that, but I also can't see that because
Right.
of the religion.
You know, they used to come over to
It's
the
a tool.
house all the time right after Sophie was born. And I think they stopped when they realized we weren't going to be Jehovah's Witnesses.
because
Yeah.
they would come over with fucking pamphlets.
Yeah,
and stuff, wouldn't they?
Right, yeah.
Our Aunt Sherry would make comments about, like, no matter what's happened in the past, I need to be responsible now because I've got a child. Basically, what I took as, I'm living my life the way I was, and that's fine. I'm young and crazy, but now I've got a child, and come on, let's get back to being Jehovah's Witness. What if you're wrong?
She
Just
is wrong.
ask yourself that one fucking time when you're not.
But they're
talking
not
to your
allowed
sister.
to.
Yeah. They're
Come
not allowed
on.
to question.
What if you're
They're
wrong?
not allowed
It's
to
a
question
joke.
it.
Like, I don't claim to be learned on
Hey, it's
grammar
the word right.
or religion whatsoever. But okay, this is my opinion of it. Without, like I say, without being educated on the subject at all. When people say stories about, like, Jesus back in the old days and all this shit that's covered in the Passion of the Christ and whatever the fuck, what if he was just some fucking crazy guy? Like, has that been proved wrong?
If there was a Jesus,
He was just some guy saying shit. They
it-
had homeless people back
Right.
then. They had grifters
Right.
back then. They had fucking dice rollers back then.
If there was a Jesus, he was the David Koresh of his time. He was a dynamic personality.
I don't know who David Koresh is.
You don't know who David? Oh God, I just dated myself. Jim Jones, Dave. leaders of religious groups that end up leading people to suicide.
Oh,
Waco, Texas.
Who was the?
But he was if he was
Heaven's
real.
Gate guy, John Applegate.
Yeah, that guy. Yeah, same with him. Applewhite. Yeah.
Applewhite.
But what I think he was, if he was real, he was a powerful personality. Is all he was, and he just got people to follow him. The Chris Angel of his time, or whatever you want to call it. You know what I mean?
Freak.
Just a mind freak. And it's all a big fat con. This is what I even told my own mother. You believe in an invisible, all-powerful, egomaniacal boogeyman.
She will never change.
And you think I'm weird? Come on.
But of course she does.
I think maybe once all the old people die, this
We'll have a chance to rule.
1914 generation,
Yeah.
maybe we can talk everyone else out of being a judge.
No, because the theme. What the theme of their next big summer assembly will be.
Well, we meant 1941.
No, they're going to go. No, for real. The end is coming. Trust us.
Ellipsis, trust us.
I remember one assembly at the Tacoma Dome they had where we got a magazine that said, "Millions
Should we,
now living
I
will
don't-
never die."
I don't know that we ever explained what an assembly was, but it's basically a coming together of Jehovah's Witness congregations.
Torture.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Every year at the
Thousands
Tacoma
of
Dome.
people at the Tacoma Dome listening to 8 straight hours of church.
You have, because you talked about one of the dramas before.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we
Yeah,
did.
Dramas
we
being
talked
the
about
only semi-interesting thing. I know that some churches are longer. I know that they have church channels, but those people are dancing around and they're doing shit.
And you got Kirk Cameron, who's a handsome fella.
These people are people who
Can't act.
have been. I'm not even talking about the drama, like the talk givers. Like they've been in the religion for 50 years and they raped their stepdaughters and they
Molested
fucking embezzle millions
molested
of
your
dollars.
cousin.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What's the
yeah.
story there?
Let's see, molested by one of the elders or
Yeah,
one of
you
the.
never heard this?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I forgot about it.
But molested by one of the members, maybe an elder, and of course, never called the police, never got arrested.
let's
Eventually got to
deal-
the point where I believe my sister is in denial of the whole thing.
Let's
I don't doubt
let's
it.
deal with this within the congregation though, guys. Let's
Yeah.
let's make
Let's-
this an internal thing. We'll publicly reprove him. He can't raise his hand at the meeting for the next couple of weeks.
But let's bash the Catholics when they do it.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
In fact, Tracy, one of the things we were talking about earlier is how I used to come here and I used to love talking to you, but when it came to religion, I would turn off.
Mm-hmm.
I remember one of the things you initially tried to introduce to me was there was a magazine article that you had kept aside. Maybe it was Time? I'd like to say it was Time. Maybe it was something else.
Mm-hmm.
But it was something about pedophilia going on within the Jehovah's Witness religion.
Penthouse Forum.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I got this unbaptized publisher alone in the car group today. We stopped at a Dunkin' Donuts,
Which is always where my molestation
and I
happened. as
said,
Jehovah's
"It's
Witness.
time for the return visit."
Time for the second coming. Which means he comes in both eyes.
Oh man! So did that article help you or not?
At the time, no. I rejected you for trying to confront me with that information.
Right.
Like, I really did.
You can't just judge it by a few bad apples.
No,
That's right,
no,
Tracy,
no.
yeah.
Of course not.
But
no.
we knew people even growing up, and
But
we
it's
talked
that
about this.
combined with that the religion is a joke and it's a cult and
It's a cult,
ridiculous.
exactly. It's not
It's
a religion.
absolutely
It's a cult.
Okay,
Definitely.
what were you saying earlier before about the 1975 chaos?
Right. It's called.
I
It's
never
called
heard
the
of this.
1975 fiasco.
And
They
explain what
they
that
had
is.
they had quote unquote done the math, and figured out that the end Armageddon would happen around 1975. 1975 would be the date it would happen then. So witnesses were selling their houses, selling their businesses, and going door to door nonstop to get as many people converted as they could.
Kind of like when you quit college because of
Right,
9/11.
and then the right, yeah,
because that's not happening every day.
right. And then the bicentennial happened, and then the 80s happened, and gosh, Armageddon didn't happen. You know, I mean, Urkel happened, but you know, it's close, but.
Got any cheese?
But no, I'm sorry, but they are fucking idiots. And you know, and I'll tell you a quick story. To those people that don't know, Jehovah's Witnesses believe that 144,000 people will go to heaven and sit by God's side. They are called
absolutely true,
they are called the anointed.
But that doesn't mean that everyone else is going to hell.
Everybody else will either die or live forever on a paradise.
There is a hell.
Or
it's a common grave, Peter.
Right.
Okay, but there's no hell.
Right, there's no hell. They don't go with the hell
There's
story.
no pitchforks.
Right,
there's
but,
no fire.
but everybody else will live on a paradise earth
Right,
who
you will
accept Jehovah.
either live forever, which used to freak me the fuck out as a kid.
Who didn't freak out?
Especially after Death Becomes Her came out.
Well,
he didn't want to live
That's
forever.
almost a reference I made earlier.
Well,
in no relation to this story, by the way.
Best joke I ever heard about that. Don't you want to live forever on a paradise earth? Not with a bunch of Jehovah's Witnesses, I don't.
That is the perfect joke because, that was our whole goal.
Yeah.
Like, as a Jehovah's Witness, your ultimate goal is to survive Armageddon, which is
Never die.
just around the corner.
All right.
To
Just around
live
the
an
corner.
extremely long, in fact, everlasting, extremely boring life.
Yeah, because what are they going to do? There's no doors to knock on. Who are you going to convert?
exactly.
You know?
And
we're going to grow our own food,
Yeah.
grow our own houses.
I'm sorry to digress, guys, but some
I guess
people
first
don't
we
know
have
what
to
we're talking about.
pitchfork all the bodies out of the street like the fucking stand.
Yeah, that's true.
So no, I got to tell you,
I think we should explain altogether what we're talking about.
But I was, and
Okay,
but here's
go
okay.
for it. I'm sorry.
So
sir.
there's
Tricky, yelled at
there's
me.
140
Those are
there's
uncomfortable.
144,000 people supposed to go, and you know to heaven, and you know you're one of the 144,000 if God tells you in your dreams.
Right, so
Right.
basically you decide, I want a little more attention at the Kingdom Hall. I'm one of the 144,000.
I'm
Right.
gonna take a piece of this gross biscuit
So
at the
they have
memorial.
at the same time that the Christians have Easter, the Jehovah's Witnesses have the memorial, and they pass a cup of wine around.
We're commemorating Christ's death, Tracy.
Right, commemorating Christ's death.
The blood
but
of
that's
Christ,
all,
the body
and the
of
blood of
Christ.
Christ and the body of Christ goes around, and those who are one of the anointed who get to go to up to heaven,
which is one of only 144,000.
of one of 144,000.
Plus, which sounds even worse than having to live on a paradise earth forever.
Exactly.
Yeah,
but
which
That's
we'll
the
get to.
boring shit. You gotta watch all your family down there and stuff.
So the thing is about it is that they don't have to tell anybody. They don't have to talk to the elders in the church. They don't have to get it confirmed. They just get to say,
Right.
I'm one of the anointed, and they partake. No questions
like
asked.
the Vatican has something that goes out and inspects miracles.
Right.
Or-
They don't have that with the Jehovah's Witnesses.
Oh, yeah, good
no
example.
questions asked. Okay, so there's a reason for this. This is the setup. Lester Spears, a Jehovah's Witness from years ago.
Oh, I thought he was writer
Britney
of Cream
Spears'
Magazine.
grandfather.
Yeah, right. Married man. He's out in service, knocking door to door on people's houses. At the same time, he's boning one of the girls, 18-year-old girl that he's out in service with in the car groups.
Sure, and why not?
Okay? He gets her pregnant, I believe. I'm not positive about that, but I think he got her pregnant.
Is this someone in a local Kingdom Hall?
Yeah, local Kingdom Hall, Fern Hill congregation, back in the 70s or 80s. One of the Fermo girls. You wouldn't know her.
No, don't know.
So anyway, here's what got to me. This dickwad, he's boning one of the sisters in the hall while he's married.
And by sister, you don't mean a black
No.
woman. Like,
One-
let's explain that brothers
no.
and sisters.
They're brothers and sisters and a baptized witness at the hall.
Baptized female.
If you're
Right.
baptized as a male, you're a brother. If
You're a brother.
baptized as a girl, you're a sister.
You're a sister.
Right.
And if you're a black baptized, you're a sister.
And for the rest of the podcast, if you could please refer to me as Mr. Exposition.
So
Sister Mallory.
So anyway, he get
Too hard to explain.
so Lester Spears. After all of this, he gets
Lester Spears. He was a character in Almost Famous. Right?
exactly
Philip Seymour
right.
Same joke I made.
He gets
How dare you? I said editor of Cream Magazine.
he
Is that what
gets.
the magazine was called? Because that's what I said, buddy.
Sorry.
That's
Listen to the
whatever.
tape.
Hey, I'm not going to get bitchy. It's your show.
Don't think that I didn't make that joke
Anyway,
before
Jeff,
PK
what
did,
were you
is all I'm
saying?
So. Yeah, don't interrupt me. I'm going to interrupt you all I want, but don't fucking interrupt me. Turn me up, damn it. So anyway, Les Spears, he gets caught doing this. He gets in trouble.
I can picture his PS off.
He gets disfellowshipped from the church. He gets kicked out, excommunicated, whatever you want to call it. His wife doesn't leave him. Lucky him. He ends up working his way back into it. What do you think? Does penance, gets reinstated back into the church,
Sure.
and then, not a year later, maybe less, he claims to be one of the anointed and partakes of the body of Christ and the body of blood.
Kidding me?
And that's when I said, "Fuck this shit."
That's what it took. That's
what
breaking point?
that was the breaking point for me. It's like this hypocritical fuck. Two things. One, they're letting a lying, cheating bastard do this, and they can't question it. And two, if there is a God, he's a fuck for letting this guy go up to heaven for doing what he did. So either way, I said, "Fuck this shit. I'm out of here."
That. Yeah,
I'm done.
Oh my God, that I don't even have a story as good as that, as far as why I left. But God, that's a good story. I like that a lot. I hate it, but I like it.
Yeah, that's why it's stuck with me all these years, because that's
kidding.
I hate hypocrisy to death, and I learned it at the church.
And PJ and I have mentioned this once before, but did you ever know, and I'll say first and last name, because who gives a shit, J.R., what was his name?
Puffin stuff? Okay.
Similar.
He has mastered the art of yes and, by the way. I love that. J.R. Alexander was a blind man. Blind as long as I knew him.
Black guy, no big deal.
Black guy, but very light-skinned black guy. That should also be
like he could tell.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. I believe he fell off his bicycle when he was like 8 years old.
He must have had a hell of a time cleaning the mirrors in that house.
He only knew his orientation because Braille was in existence. But
love them Braille T-shirts.
Gives you a chance to feel up the boobies.
You got it. Well, is that an extra period? Wait.
But yeah, this guy J.R. Alexander, light
we'll
skin.
try to get a picture of him for the photo album.
Why not? He's probably on the internet. He's a radio personality.
He probably,
as far as I know,
lunchbox.
Yeah, he probably did. God, I'd love to see him with Mr. T.
He'd be holding it upside down, wouldn't he?
This guy was an elder.
Great picture.
This guy was an elder.
J.R. Alexander holding the lunchbox upside down. Come on. How great a picture would that have been?
Or facing the opposite of the camera.
Dude, you should have him with his back to the camera. With him holding the lunchbox.
Just totally disoriented. No idea.
You can go so far to like put him in a dress.
No, just go with
I swear,
it.
it's a toga. It's a toga. Trust me.
And I'm derogatory.
Animal House.
Have you seen Animal House? Oh wait, no, wrong choice of words.
Or were you raping your child during Animal House?
Which is what I was trying to get at, I guess. This guy that we
Please,
had.
sir, may I have another?
This motherfucker. Not only is he blind, but he's raping his daughter. No, stepdaughter. So it's much more fair.
Real ugly. So
Oh
really,
yeah. Well, like he cared. You know? Maybe he thought it was the
We
dog.
made that joke before, and in fact, I remember when that episode posted, whichever episode it is.
I remember the
give a
story now.
shit.
Yeah.
But we made some joke about him mistaking his stepdaughter's vagina for a hot pocket. I think was the joke. And we got some backlash for that one.
But you know, it is incredible though, that as a blind guy to be molesting your stepdaughter.
It takes a lot of effort.
It's like intimidation.
You ain't kidding.
And
I mean,
he
that's all
probably
it could be.
used his position as presiding overseer, which he was,
Within our Jehovah's Witness.
Yeah.
as
Congregation.
some sort of leverage to, what time do your legs open?
yeah. I mean, I
You think that's how he presented
think
the
about
scenario?
it. You don't hear about any.
What time do your legs open?
You don't hear about too many blind rapists, So I mean, like he couldn't run away from the guy. So
That
geez,
was
Not without
exactly
an
our point.
extreme
So
Yeah.
that's
fucked up
right.
victim.
It was a total.
God.
She got head fucked before she ever got ass fucked.
Yeah.
Obviously.
And he actually gouged out her eyes and skull fucked her.
Well, you haven't? I mean,
I mouth fucked her once during an assembly.
Dude, that girl was way into anybody that would talk to her.
Yeah.
And she was obviously so fucked up. Obviously, because she's being molested by her blind stepdad.
But then
that
was,
makes so much more sense once that came out. Like, no wonder she was so fucked up.
Immediately afterwards, he's showing up at meetings, holding hands with his wife,
who's still defending him.
Her mother, the stepdaughter sitting, the stepdaughter sitting with them in the back row of the Kingdom Hall, of course, because that's what makes it okay.
Wow!
Is because they can't raise their hand and get the microphone passed to them, and they have to sit in the back row and leave before the ending song.
Wow! I wonder if she liked Ray.
Sore subject. They integrated Ray and Hound Dog.
To get out of work, I have claimed that grandparents have died. Because you have 2 of each, really. If they don't know your background, you at least have 4 opportunities to lie.
As long as you don't do it 5 times, you're good.
Yeah, 4 days in a row. I can't believe they all 4 died. And then my step-grandpa, oh, that was unfortunate.
I'm still saving up my day to where at my job you can get away with just not showing up to work one day. You can do that one time, and then the next time...
No call, no show?
No call, no show, exactly.
You're allowed one.
And I've only got like 6-7 more months there, hopefully. So I'm really saving up. It's going to be like my senior skip day episode of Saved by the Bell. Where just one day, like, I'm just not going to go to work. I'm not going to tell Alvina except for right now on the podcast. I'm going to, like, go see a movie.
Which you know
or
she
something.
listens to.
Yeah, that's all right.
I just wondered when there'd be a Saved by the Bell reference, and it finally happened.
It only takes so long per episode before that comes up.
Usually we get at least Saved by the Bell or Mario Lopez's Passion Project extra.
Extra!